Welcome to You're Too Pretty to Be Single, a weekly podcast dedicated to discovering how to become happy and whole while enjoying the single life. We'll cover topics such as mental health, trust issues, some very interesting sex topics, and so much more. Remember, we're too pretty for a lot of things, but being single isn't one of them. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into another episode of You're Too Pretty to Be Single. This week's featured review is from Cam's World. It's titled So Real, and it says, I love how she is so honest and real about her experiences in life. This is a podcast that anyone would enjoy. Thank you so much. That's my goal. Hopefully all of you guys do enjoy it. As always, please make sure you listen, subscribe, rate, review, share, and your review may be featured next. All right, you guys. So today I decided I'm going to kick it with one of my besties. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Tell the people something about yourself.
I'm Tommy. I am your best friend. I am born and raised in the Atlanta area. I'm Nigerian, first generation Nigerian American. I love people. I love being out and about. I work in nonprofits. I love kids. And yeah, that's it.
You sound so amazing. You're like, I love kids and nonprofits.
I'm not that amazing.
Yes, Tommy does love to go out, y'all. We went out on Sunday, right?
Oh, yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. And she just kept saying, this is the best day ever.
Best day of my life. I have not been out with my friends since probably February, so.
Girl, that is so crazy. Because like I said, I'm the one who's usually in the house, and I've been out in these streets since the pandemic started.
I mean, I was out in the streets for like 1 week, and I was like with my family. But like, I haven't been with y'all. Like, I haven't hung out like that in a very long time.
Right. Sometimes I forget, though, because we FaceTime. So it's like when I see y'all, I'm looking at you like, why does it feel like I haven't seen you in a long time?
No, it was good. It was good to be out in the sun.
I agree. Yeah. So this episode, I really just wanted to rant, but I was like, you know what? Let me bring somebody on here so I don't just sound like a bitch. So we can kind of talk about a few things. But before I get started, I wanted to play a little game. I've done this before, I think on episode 7 with Justin. It's the cards from the privacy game, and I'll make sure I put a link to this game. I actually enjoy it, and tell me, we've actually played it at your house before. Do you remember?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, let's play it.
Okay. So it's just questions, really. So the first one, and I'll ask you, and then I'll answer the question as well.
Okay.
So the first one is, would you ever date someone that weighed at least twice as much as you?
Yes.
You would? You like big guys?
Wait, how much do I weigh? Hold on. I think it depends on how the weight is carried, but yeah, I would.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely would too. I'm like, that's not that heavy, but regardless, I have dated bigger guys, so I certainly would. Now, if it comes to women, for me, maybe not. I'm sorry, y'all. But again, like you said, it would depend on where her weight was carried.
I actually prefer more meaty guys than, the skinnier side. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Are you like muscular meaty or?
Well, I guess my answer is yes, because I've never dated a super chubby type of guy, like hefty and just big and like out of shape type of guy. I haven't dated. So I guess to answer, yeah, I'm more muscular for sure.
I tried it before, and we talked, I think it was the beginning of this year. I think we spent New Year's together. I never date big guys. So the fact that I dated a guy who had like boobs and a stomach was crazy to me. But I was like, whenever we stopped talking, I think he had a girlfriend and he was like super shady. And I was just like, see, should have never gave your fat ass a chance. Like, I'm just kidding.
That's not true. Big guys are not sweethearts and teddy bears.
Girl, hell nah. Hell nah. But I'm just playing. I
Just joking.
never call him fat. I'm just kidding. But he was definitely a bigger guy for sure.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Okay. Tell me, do you believe you can be faithful to one person your whole life?
Yes.
Yes. Simple as that?
Yes. If you're
Yeah.
asking me, do I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you believe that most people can?
In this day and age, like in this day and age moving
Yeah.
forward, no, but I believe it was definitely more common probably before our time for sure.
Okay, so let me challenge you on that actually, because I don't agree. So, I think that yes, people stayed together back then, but I think that they were not faithful. Like, you
Mm.
know, a lot of people have grandpas and grandparents, and they like, yeah, my granddaddy had 8 kids.
Like Rolling Stone, that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right about that. I guess I'm thinking about it from a coveted standpoint, like
Mm-hmm.
what people coveted more back then versus that
Gotcha.
being like a esteemed type of thing now.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my mind went. But I
Okay.
totally see where your point comes in.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yes, yes. When it comes to like the whole idea of the marriage and
Being
things of
faithful.
that nature, yes, I agree. I think that you can, but I think that a lot of people try to make it seem like this is just something that's natural within you. But it actually does take work, and it does take restraint, and it does take self-control for you to decide to be faithful to that person the whole time. So
100% agree. 100% agree with you on that. There's
yeah,
like a daily, probably multiple times a day type of commitment.
right. It's certainly a commitment. Okay. Question number 3. If your partner cheated on you, could you forgive them?
That's question is so open ended. I
Mm-hmm.
think in the most general of terms, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely depends on like the circumstance, the situation, like the timing. Like it really depends on so many factors. But in just general happenstance, oh, I fucked around, I cheated. I think if it's someone that I'm truly committed to and like love deeply, that's probably
Mm-hmm.
something we could work past. It's
Okay.
I don't think I consider it like a end all be all deal breaker.
Right.
Depend on the circumstance.
Right. Depends is your
Yeah.
answer. I think that within a marriage, potentially, yes.
Right.
I think that outside of a marriage, probably not. But okay, well, I can forgive regardless. But as far as maintaining the relationship or working to make it better, I would probably only do that in a marriage.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, I'm like, you kind of just playing. Like we ain't even been together that long. You can't even control yourself for this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Work past infidelity is takes so much work, and it's like
Mhm.
it would really take two very truly committed and love people to really like work past stuff.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think that, but I do agree that people who say, you know, that's just it, that's a deal breaker, I never believe them. I'm like, you don't know until it happens.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
you
Depending on the circumstance, right? Like
yeah. Yeah,
that's why when
exactly.
people find out about infidelity, like details kind of matters. Like
Mhm.
who is he, where were you, what happened, how many times, like that's why people always want to know, because it's like, is this something that I can really get over, or is
Right.
there more to this where
Yeah.
there's other issues to be
Mhm. Cuz it will completely change your relationship. Like it's not going to be the same. It's going to take so much to get back to, you know, how it was before.
agreed.
Have you ever had sex with more than 2 people on the same day?
No,
No, never.
never.
Never. I yeah, I have within 24 hours, but I would technically feel like they were different days.
I don't have the juice.
Girl, that ain't about the juice. It's just about being in the wrong situation at the wrong time.
You got the juices.
It's like, I'm like, it's usually about proximity issue. Like, you know, I could go home, but let me do it. Like, he only 15 minutes
Oh
away.
man.
All right. Okay. And the last question. If after a year of dating, your partner told you they had killed someone, would you keep dating them?
Gosh. Oh my goodness.
It took a really large turn.
Right. I was not. No warning and nothing. Just dating, not knowing me now, who I am now. Nah, rap. It's a rippity rap because one, that's ridiculous, and two, the fact that you went this long keeping that big of a secret. You could kill me. Hell no. It's a no for me, dog. No.
Please. Oh my God. I'm so dead. You said, but I'm laughing at a couple things. You said knowing me and who I am now. So back then you would have stayed.
Back then I probably would have been like, now, please, no.
I mean, you know, he ain't really mean it.
I mean, you know, don't try him. He got a but so, no, like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a head out. Like, I'm just gonna head out. I watch too much true crime to be dealing with that shit. So
excuse me, sir. What are we talking about here? No.
I mean, there could be some scenarios that I would be okay. Like
maybe if you were like trying to save your own life or someone else's life, and like, you know, you're not a criminal or a murderer, you know what I'm saying? But like, why did you wait a year to tell me? If it's something traumatic and it's just like you had to get to a point where you're comfortable in telling me,
right?
But like, yeah, I don't know, the shock of the question, I was just like, yeah.
You're like, I'm out. I see. For me, I feel like if they killed someone and they didn't get in trouble for it, then that would be more of a no, because now I don't even know if you really telling the truth. Like, I need court records. Like, yeah.
And all that, and I need, like, did you go to therapy? Have you dealt with this? Because it's not normal for someone to like know you've killed someone and you just going through life, and then a year after dating someone, you're like, oh, thought I'd let you know I killed someone. What? No.
Just so you know, I killed somebody, knocked their block off.
Hey, I killed someone. What would you like for dinner? Like,
okay, so those were our questions. So I think what I want to start talking about is, hopefully this guy isn't creeped out that I'm kind of talking about him because we just met. But and he does listen. What'd you say?
I said, hey, friend.
Oh, hey, friend. Yes, he does listen. But so I recently met somebody, and really cool guy. Like him so far. Everything's cool. But he lives out of state. And me, I have never been in a long distance relationship ever. Tommy, I know that you have. So I feel like I want to hear, and I'm putting you on the spot for a reason. I didn't let you get prepared for this. Like what was your experience, and what would you give us some like pros and cons? Because I'm really interested in this guy. So let's say we take it further and now I'm in a long distance relationship. Like, I need to hear from somebody who's been in it, like your thoughts on that.
Okay, well, first things first, Taylor truly is putting me on the spot, you guys. Taylor is putting me on the spot, so I apologize. Don't crucify me.
I like to hear the real stuff, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the cons, and then I'll go to the pros. The cons, I personally feel like the cons to long distance is it. Okay, so I have two sides of looking at long distance, right? The first side is, did you start off long distance and you're continuing long distance, or did you start off together and you're now in a long distance? So I have two different views on that. So everything that I'm about to say is starting off long distance and continuing long distance.
Okay, cool. That's what I need to hear.
Yes. So starting off long distance and continuing long distance, I feel like the cons are, you're not able to connect on the levels that come when you're around someone's energy, someone's vibe, their presence, you know, being able to read just nonverbals and things like that. Even through FaceTime, sometimes it's just not the same because you just can't really pick up on their energy. I think that like little things that you pick up on when you're hanging out with someone or spending time with someone or around someone or seeing how they interact with others, you don't get to pick up on until you're around each other.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and it's just like little things like that you already get without thinking about it when you're dating someone who's present with you. But when it's long distance, those are like gaps that are just not going to be filled until you get to be around each other. And then when you do get to be around each other, because you know that that time is so precious and limited, you are putting your best foot forward every time. Both people are putting their best foot forward most times, every time, until a bit later once you get comfortable. Course, but most times in the beginning, it really, even if you're comfortable on the phone all the time, but when you get to be together, you know, those first few times, you're still putting your best foot forward. You're making sure your hair is done. You're making sure your hair is cut. You're making sure your car is clean. You're making sure you have everything planned. Like, you don't want to waste the time together.
Right.
And so it's like, I wouldn't say it's a falsity, but it's just kind of like, it's not real relationship unless you're going to be in a long distance relationship for the rest of your life. It's just not a real foundational. It's just not realistic of
it's
what
like it's like you putting on, you know.
Yeah, and not like it's subconscious. It's not like I'm purposely trying to deceive this person, but it's just you're putting on a little bit. So that's a con. It can be a con. Another con is it's expensive as fuck. Long distance relationships are so expensive, and not just because of flying or driving, but just, again, when you're around each other, you're trying to maximize that time, and it's very rare that you're just sitting in the house not doing nothing. Even if you're doing it on one day, the next couple of days that you're still together, you're doing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And I think I feel like you mentioned that before, like it feels like you're going on vacation, like you're doing vacation type things.
Yeah, exactly. Like taking advantage of, you know, things to do. You're looking up things to do and like, what can we do when you come in town, or where are we meeting up? Even if it's not in each other's cities, you know, you're exploring other cities. And then, like I said, you're preparing yourself to see this person. So you're going to get your hair done. You're going to get your nails done. You're going to make sure your outfits are together. And, you know, for women, you know, getting ourselves together can add up very quickly. So it gets to be expensive.
And then just having that time, like a lot of times you don't get to prepare for somebody to come to your house like every time. Exactly. So it's like you have all this prep time to be on motherfucking point. Like
exactly. Exactly. And then when you do add transportation and all of that, and even if it lies, for example, if you're with a more traditional type of man or, you know, partner who is willing to pay for your flights or willing to whatever, it's still expensive at the end of the day. It's money that you would not be spending if you were not in a long distance relationship.
Right.
And so again, it adds up. Another con, and then I'll go to the pros because I feel like
no, you're good. You're good. This is helpful information.
Another con that I would say is whenever, because no relationship is perfect. So like, obviously when things are going well or you're in the honeymoon stage of the long distance relationship, there really are, you don't feel the issues, right? You don't feel the strains of long distance. But when reality kind of sets in, or the honeymoon phase wears off, or if one of you are just going through something, it's very, very, that's when you feel the strains of long distance, because presence is important when you're going through something, and trying to express yourself via phone is not always the best, especially when you start adding in time zones, when you start adding in different schedules. You really are, and like a lot of people say, out of sight, out of mind, but that's a real thing. Like, if you had a very busy day, but your partner is in a different state going through something, a lot of times that's not gonna like, you know, mesh up well versus if the same city and you had a busy day and your partner's going through something. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you can come together at the end of the day.
You come together at the end of the day. You can pull up by tomorrow at the latest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when it comes to long distance, it's just hard to feel whatever it is that you need. And everybody needs different things. Some people just want someone to be there. Some people just want someone to listen. Some people, you know, want to be left alone. Some people, whatever. But again, in a long distance relationship, you don't really have the options.
Right.
And
yeah.
I'll stop there. I really could go on with the con.
No, that's good. I feel like when you said, you know, the presence is so important, it's because when you're not together, you have to find those words, and not everybody has those words. Like, I'm guilty of that. Like, if somebody's really in a bad mood, I want to like hug them, ask them, do they need something? I can't just be like, you know, honey, it'll be okay. Like, it's so awkward.
sick, saying it'll be okay and calling them all day is not going to make them feel better.
Right. Not at all. Yeah.
Making them something to eat, you know, yes, now in this day and age, you can send a delivery.
It's not the same. Yeah.
Not the same.
No.
I do want to give a disclaimer before I switch to pros. Sorry. The disclaimer that I would like to give to the cons is a lot of those things can be better or worse depending on the two partners in the long distance relationship. I always say long distance relationships can work or can fail depending on the two people who are in a long distance relationship together. And there are a lot of things that have to be established in the beginning of the long distance relationship before the two decide to start a long distance relationship, because it takes a lot of commitment. And that's why I said my stance on whether you start together long distance and continue versus whether you start are apart in long distance and continue are different.
Yeah.
Start off living in the same city and you build a foundation and you understand each other, and then things become long distance. You kind of have something to refer back to because you know what it is. But when you're starting off long distance and you continue long distance, both of you have to decide, like, I am willing to make sure I am communicating often. And not everybody is as big as communicator as the next person. You have to make sure that you are checking in. And then another con is it becomes routine.
Yeah.
So things like that really does depend on the two people who decide. Like, it ain't for everybody. And the two people have to kind of establish a norm before you even start the relationship. And that's not normal, right? Like, if you're used to always dating someone who lives in the same city as you, you're not used to saying, okay, so are the evenings our talking time, or in the morning talking time? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a norm.
It's not. Yeah. The only thing I would say is, like, there's also a choice between the two. So, like, if you start off long distance, you really have a choice whether or not this is what you want to do. But when you start off together and then it turns into long term, it's like you kind of feel like you don't. I mean, technically you have a choice, but you're like, I'm already used to this person. I love this person. Like, now I have to transition to this long term. So it's going to take a lot of effort to make that transition.
Yeah, definitely. So some pros I would say is heightened communication for sure. Like, you definitely learn a lot more about the person quicker. Because communication is your prime way of connecting. You know, it's your only way of
connecting.
So you do, like, it's so easy to fall for someone, and it's so easy to weed out someone in long distance because your only way of connecting is through communicating with one another. So, like, I can believe when people, like, meet someone long distance and be like, I really, 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 like, they feel really a lot for them, because it's like, well, that's all you have. And a good example is the show Love is Blind, like, them only being able to communicate with each other. And I mean, Lauren and Cameron, they connected on the first night, but because communication wise, like, they connected. We don't know
on point. Yeah.
We don't know the depths of their conversation, but clearly they connected, and look at them still together, you know, to this day. And it's been at least 2 or 3 years.
I love them. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, that is a pro, because you really do get to know the depths of the person, whether y'all are talking or choosing to write letters or whatever the case is. And then you get to be creative in the ways that you express love. So whether it's like sending gifts or, you know, random things and things like that part, the spontaneity, I think, is a pro. Like I said, it does feel like you have, like, these mini getaways and trips whenever you do see each other. The excitement is so high when you see each other. It's like the highest of the highs when you're going to see each other, but then when you leave, that low is so low.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Like, that's one of the things I absolutely hate is the goodbyes. But yeah, that high is so, like, it's just elating. Like, it's something to look forward to. You know, it's the time together is heightened. It's a really good feeling. I think that for me, the effort that goes into long distance, to me, is a turn on. So, like, someone who is putting forth effort to see you, speak to you, you know, value your time, value the time that you both spend together when you do, like, that is I don't know. I like that. And not to say that people don't do that in regular relationships, but
it hits different though. It does. Like,
you have to, but you are doing it and it's working clearly.
Like, you like me. Like, you like me. And that was one of the things I was kind of worried about is, for me, long distance, my love language, number one, higher than any of the others, not even close, is quality time. So like that just seemed like it would be such a struggle. But for me, it's like, you're making the effort to FaceTime me and talk to me for hours with no distractions. Like that does turn me on. Like, you could be doing anything else.
You could be doing anything else in the world, but you're
Any-
committing to this long distance relationship.
right.
That commitment is nice. Now, I would say though, like, that's what makes it difficult, because again, when you start off long distance, you do commit so much time because you're trying to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get to know each other, there's this awkward point in the relationship where the pace changes, and you're not able to pinpoint why the pace is changing, and you're not able to connect, you know what I'm saying, to make sure you're tripping, and you're not able to like be reassured in a different type of way, because all you have is that time and communication. So it's like, imagine, you know, you start off a long distance relationship and y'all talk at least 45 minutes to an hour every day, every other, right? Like, that's minimum, bare minimum. If you start off like that every day, every other day, by the time y'all get 9-10 months in, the talking is not going to be as consistent, right? And so then it's like, so you'd rather watch TV, or you were watching a movie, whatever they're telling you. Oh, I was with my friends instead. Oh, I was, you know, I went to this cookout, I went to this bar. And it's just like, well, now you'd rather do all these other things than our time for our relationship. And it's not a fault to anyone. It just is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, long distance relationships get old really fast. I say that all the time. Like, they just get really old really fast. But those are some of the pros and cons for me. For those listening, I've been in quite a few long distance relationships. So those are just my pros and cons. I know no two relationships are the same. No two people are the same, but those are my observations.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely making me think really hard. I'm like, the scariest part sounds like, you know, you can be in a long distance relationship, everything's going good, and then y'all come together and it's like, oh my God, we were together for 6 months and it's just not gonna work out. Like,
see, that's one part that I can't comment on because I haven't made it that far.
Yeah.
And a lot of effort goes into coming together, because if you're in a successful long distance relationship, then you both are like really trying to pursue how you're going to end up being together.
Yeah.
Because a long distance relationship is not sustainable, period. It's not. Eventually, at some point, now you're trying to have the same mindset of how are we coming together, and that adds another layer of stress and pressure and all of that. But yeah, like, I haven't made it that far to see like what it's like when you start off long distance and eventually come together. But the people that I've seen that have made it, it's a success because they made it.
I think for me, it's just like, I always talk about dating, you know, I try anything and I feel like I need to try a different approach. And I'm like, maybe long distance is going to be like, even if me and this guy, y'all, I've only known him for 2 days. That's why I'm like, I hope he don't think I'm crazy for talking about it. But yeah, even if this doesn't work out, I'm like, maybe I should venture a little more into like surrounding areas. Because y'all, this Atlanta shit is not fucking working. It's not.
Not it.
It's not it. But the thing that I appreciated already about him was he asked, like, we haven't even known each other that long, and he's like, how do you feel about long distance relationships? Because I think in his mind, he's like, if that's not what you do, like, you need to understand I'm not in the same state as you, so it would be pointless for us to even continue.
Yeah.
So I like that was like one of his immediate questions was like, how do you even feel about it? And I didn't really know how to answer. For me, my answer was literally, I mean, everything else has failed. Like, that was my answer, was everything else has failed and I need to try a new approach to dating.
Right.
And it might just work for me. Y'all know I've said it before. I don't like nobody in my bed. I am one of those people who I don't have to see you every single day.
Yeah.
Like, we might talk every single day, even if it's for 10 minutes or whatever, but I don't need to see you every single day. So.
Yeah. No, I definitely encourage you. I think you should give it a shot. Has he been in a long distance relationship before?
I actually don't know. Again, I know a lot about him, but we haven't really talked too much about previous relationships in depth. So I don't know. But the fact that he asked me that, I don't know if he asked me because he's been in that situation before, or he just immediately knew, like, oh, she's in Atlanta. Like, I don't live there. I'm not going to be back anytime soon. So, yep. So I'll let y'all know how it goes. I'll keep y'all updated. But yeah, I just want him to know, like, I'm not crazy. We were already going to talk about this.
Yeah. Definitely, we're already going to talk about this because, again, I'm a vet in the game when it comes to this.
Right, y'all heard her. Like, she was put on the spot and she was like, okay, pro, con. So tell me the other thing that I wanted to talk about, because, again, this was really going to be a rant episode. I thought for a while, I'm like, does this really even apply to my podcast? But then I was like, you know what? It's a lot of women listening, single women. So I'm pretty sure I got some of these out here. But I wanted to talk about pick-me's. Like, I need to talk about pick-me's.
Pick-me as in like on the internet, like people that'll say something or do something for attention?
Girl, yes. So this post I saw on Facebook, this is what okay, let me set it up for y'all. So this girl posted in a all black, all singles group. And it's a lot of women, a lot of men. Mm-hmm. This is what she posted. She said, I'm probably the only female who doesn't wear lashes nor know how to put them on. I left the post for a while, right? And then I got back on Facebook, and in the comments, it was like, sis, did you get picked yet?
So, okay, first of all, this was just like one of her random tweets or something. Okay, cool. But like in a singles group, you were looking for attention by making this post.
Exactly, girl. So it was, men didn't even comment. Like, it was women like saying, oh no, I don't either. Or, okay, we get it. Or somebody was like, YouTube is free. Like, it was women being like petty in there. This does absolutely nothing for you as a single woman. I absolutely hate when you say something to negate what other women do. When they say stuff like, yeah, I'm natural. I could never wear a weave.
Yeah. Like, just say you're natural. Don't say you could never wear a weave.
Right.
And put people who wear weaves down.
Exactly. And I've been seeing a lot of that lately. And so I was just like, I need to quickly vent about this because I've been seeing single black women doing it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, don't put us down. Like, I hate makeup in a singles group.
Right.
Am I being a bitch?
No, I definitely think that's and I've been seeing people talk about the pick me stuff. I feel like it comes from people trying to sensationalize perfection. Like, people wanting to be right all the time, the most woke all the time, the first pioneer to just be the most perfect person in whoever's eyes. And it's just like, that is actually insanity because everyone has a different pair of eyes.
Right.
Like, who are you trying to impress? Like, live your life. You don't have to put someone down. And if you do feel that way, take it to your personal group chat with your friends.
Right. Exactly.
Out there for attention for yourself. And that's what makes you a pick-me. Like, not saying you shouldn't have an opinion. Let's say you really are just pro-natural. You really just feel like women should not wear makeup for whatever reason, right? Like, let's just say that's truly your belief. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a thing where it's now, I'm going to put this out there that I'm this naturalist person who doesn't believe in makeup, and women who wear makeup is just deceiving and disgusting. Because that's attention seeking.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And I'm like, whatever her goal was, like, she didn't reach it. Because I'm like, now it's just a bunch of women on your profile or on your post talking shit to you.
I wonder, and see, that's the questions like this I would throw right back at a guy. Like, so when guys see certain pick-me stuff like that, what is the reaction? And a lot of times, I'm not going to blame it all on women. I feel like guys do react sometimes to pick. Yeah. And that's why more women do it, because they want the attention. Like, women do things like that all the time. For example, the women who, are overly sexual online because they want a guy to slide in their DMs and try them, or they want people to think a certain thing about them so that the guy that they do want to slide in their DMs will. And things like that is just kind of like, that is definitely pick-me behavior. And it's girl,
you just hit oh my God, you just like really got into other shit that I want to talk about. Like, I cannot stand women, like, and this is going even further to the pick me, but the ones who just think that they do stuff that nobody else does. Like, I cannot stand it. And that goes for, you know, oh, how I give head, or oh, how long, and I can do this and I can do that, or I'm this sexual, and they think they're so rare and different, and I'm like, you're not. Just because I'm not talking about it and presenting it and bragging on myself daily, girl, please. And I see it all the time, all the time.
Sometimes I really wonder, like, is it because you weren't loved? I always wonder, like, women who do things like that. And I really try not to judge, right? Because I know I grew up more conservative than most, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have very strict and traditional parents. So I know that my view on things may be a little skewed. I am aware of that, right? But sometimes I really do wonder, like, why is this so attention seeking? Because like you said, although I am reserved or traditional or whatever, it doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Want to be happy with me. So it's just kind of like, why do I have to, I don't feel the need to have to project that or throw that out there for attention.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's exactly what it is. And I'm like, I grew up, I'm very open. Like, I've done a lot of things, but I don't just sit there. Even if me and you was at lunch, I'm not just going to sit there and be like, oh, I did this and this and that. Like, that's not my personality to just be out there bragging. And it's like the people who do that, they do get the attention, and that's why they do it. But I'm like, girl, you're not out here doing anything magical. No. I don't know who made you freak of the week, but you're not.
Like, sis, what are you aiming for?
What's the goal?
Platform where millions of women are doing the exact same thing. Y'all all look exactly identical. Mm-hmm. You're not even getting a full page in Jet magazine, sis. What are you aiming for?
I think I want to say this girl I know, it was on Instagram, but she was talking about how, like, she watches porn or something, and like that's how basic it was. And I think this guy was like, oh my God, you watch porn? Like, I didn't know women watched porn. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm not really like other women. And I'm like, okay, this is so stupid. But I guess my point there, what I wanted to rant about was, for y'all who are listening, like, please don't be that girl. Please. And it's crazy because me and you were talking about how women didn't like me when I was young. I mean, they still don't like me, but how in general women just don't like me. And I'm like, I don't be saying nothing. But they like the girl who, you know, brag on everything that she do, everything she can do, all the niggas she got. I don't know. I feel like I'm not expressing myself well right now, but I feel like you get me.
I understand what you're saying. And I would challenge all the men out there to not feed into the pick-me.
Right.
And show love to the real queens out here.
So my message, y'all, date long distance, try it out, right? And then don't be a pick-me. I said all of that to just say don't be a pick-me.
Don't be a pick-me. Try out long distance, but only someone that's as serious or as committed as you, whatever that may be. And good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. May the odds be in your favor. So before we go, Tommy, I actually wanted to talk about something else. Again, I'm putting Tommy on the spot, y'all. So me and Tommy have been friends for 21 years. So that is kind of rare, right? You don't see too many friendships that last that long. Me and Tommy actually met in 3rd grade, and I remember she was in Mr. Pullo's class. And her class was crazy as hell. And then I was in Miss Hyatt's class, and we were like the sweetest little angels. I often talk to people about friendships because friendships have never come naturally to me, especially with women. And I love women, but they hate me, y'all. Like, Tommy knows that they just don't like me. So let's kind of talk about that. The longevity of a friendship. So how do you think that we have maintained our friendship for so long?
That's such a good question. I feel like we've maintained our friendship because our friendship is truly genuine. Like, when we became friends, I wasn't seeking anything from you and you weren't seeking anything from me. We just genuinely wanted to be each other's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we genuinely was cool and like got along and meshed well. And again, vibes and energy and all of that. So I feel like the first thing is like, I don't want to be her friend because she's cool or because she's pretty or because she's nice or because of this. I'm her friend because we became friends.
Right. Yeah. Like we didn't even know none of that when we became friends.
Like our hearts were still pure enough to truly want to be each other's friends.
Mm-hmm. You like, you want to play Foursquare with me?
Right. Like, who's our best friends? Like, whatever. Yeah. So, and then for me, I feel like we maintained it. And I was just talking about this the other day, but with any relationship, platonic, intimate, whatever relationship, I feel like what makes people come closer together and what builds true relationships is experiencing things together, like going through things together. And I think we, in our very young years, went through a lot together.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, like even thinking through elementary school, and like we would be on the phone every single day after school and our whole little routine, and like we knew what was happening after school with one another. And it's like, yes, we were young, but I've always, like I always say, felt a need of like protecting you and like making sure you're good and you're okay. And then I also think our families had a role to play too, because my family loves you and your family loved me. And they also help cultivate our friendship as well through the years.
Right.
I just think, like, to sum it all up, you know, starting off just genuine friends and not wanting anything from one another, experiencing a number, I mean, you and I can go on and on of just the different things we've experienced from third grade on up.
Right. And it's so much I like forget about things. Like, it's just so much.
So much. It is so much. But when you go through things with people, you know, action, right? You see, you feel the love, you see like, oh my gosh, like this person actually cares, or this person actually has my back, or, you know, this person sacrificed this for me, or this person was willing to do this, or is just there, or whatever the case is. So it just kind of builds it and solidifies it even more. And then loyalty comes into play and trust comes into play and all those other adjectives. And then, I think just our families and the people we surround ourselves also just like, they know they can't permeate what we have. Like,
right.
It's solid. And so it just builds it even more.
Yeah, and I think to kind of add to what you said, like we were so meshed in each other's lives that it was like no matter what I did, Tommy was there. Like there were times when we made other friends. Like we made plenty of other friends, but we were always friends. Always. And just to kind of talk about our families, like they saw the good in each of us. You know, oh wow, this little girl, Tommy, she makes Taylor better. Like there was never a time or a situation in which my mom would have ever thought that you made a poor decision or tried to get me to make a poor decision.
Literally likewise. Like to this day.
Right.
Likewise.
It's like, is Tommy going? Did Tommy's parents say, okay, like as long as y'all were good, then everything was good.
Yeah. And I really do believe, like, at least for me and my family, and for those, like I said earlier, I have a Nigerian background, and like my parents are very strict. And I know y'all see like the little jokes in the videos and stuff of like,
yes,
and stuff, but that stuff is real. And it's like Taylor passed the test. I don't know if you guys saw Yvonne Orji's stand-up comedy, but she kind of spoke to something like this about her one friend that she had when she was little. Once your parents trust that one friend or those few friends that you have, that's pretty much it. Like your wingspan is not going past that.
Right.
You can't trust people like that, but it played through your parents too. And it's just like, I know that she's a good, and then again, energy and stuff like that.
And that's what I was going to say. Like you can just tell, like, it's something I never thought of, but if I ever have children, when you have children, like, other people can look at your child and see your values. Like they can see them. It's so apparent. Like they could easily see my values and vice versa, like just by having a conversation with me.
Yep.
Like our parents haven't even really met before, maybe once or twice, but It's like my parents know your parents. Like they know your parents not about to play with that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom straight up be like, "What Tommy mom say?" Like, when what she think about that? Like straight up.
Still ask about your parents all.
Mm-hmm. Yep, all the time. But so the reason I wanted to bring that up is really just because this is a rare situation. I'm not gonna pretend like me and Tommy are perfect. We've definitely had our falling out. But other than that, me and her don't argue. We don't argue. There's really no point because me and you are so different. I know when you're not gonna agree with me. I mean, that's kind of the point. Like, I need another side to this situation.
Right. I was gonna say, like, even in, like you said, like, honestly, we don't fight, we don't argue. We only fell out one time in our 21 years
Mm-hmm.
being friends. And even in that falling out, there was still a love and respect for each other.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget when I came to your house. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe it was your mom's birthday, but I don't remember what it was for. But it was my first time being back at your house in a long time. And your mom and I, like, boohoo cried.
Y'all did cry together. I do remember that.
It is just like, that just goes to show, like, how deep the love is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not surface at all. And, like, we don't argue. I say this all the time. Like, I really feel like when God was, like, bringing me into this world, he knew to bless me with good friends. I have
Mm-hmm.
family, don't get me wrong, but I really have been blessed with amazing friends in my life.
Yeah.
I don't take my friends for granted. That's really why I do my friends the way I do, because it's something that I don't take for granted. And I feel like you and I, like, we are so different, but, like, we just work.
Yeah, we just work. We definitely just work.
No judgment. The respect is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because we've known each other so long, we know how to, like, humor with one another. But I also
Yeah.
how, like, I don't fall out with my friends like that. Like, it's very
Right.
rare. Yes, growing pains are there, and, like, you go through stuff, but, like, I don't argue with my friends often. Like, we don't cuss each other out. Like,
Yeah.
get mad one week and then get back cool a few weeks later. Like, that's never been the nature. I don't have a toxic relationship with my friends.
Right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Those are toxic. And it just kind of goes into our values, into our actual relationships, is that me nor you think that a relationship should be hard.
Right.
Like, it should not be this turmoil from the very beginning. And all those other relationships to me is just toxic. Like, that is not how it should be, whether it's platonic or romantic. Like, you should not have to go through all this shit to maintain a relationship at the end of the day.
Facts. Big facts. I don't believe in struggle love, period.
Right, exactly. No struggle love. With us talking about this is a rare situation. Most people aren't friends this long. I just wanted to let my listeners know how I talked to so many single women in so many different places. This is possible to get, maybe not for the longevity, but you can definitely have a friendship like this, because I feel like it's so common for women our age to not have friends. And it's like, I've made friends as an adult. Tommy is my only really, really long friend. Tommy and Jasmine. That's pretty much it. My closest friends I've made as an adult. So I think our advice, and Tommy, you can definitely jump in, is that it doesn't need to be a struggle love. It doesn't need to be toxic. You need to find a way to intertwine your lives in some way. Like, you need to be willing to let this person in and meet your family and your children, whatever the case might be. And you can have a strong genuine relationship with another woman.
Absolutely. And I will add, and it goes back to when, you were in pre-K, but if you want to be a friend, if you want a friend, you have to be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's another thing, right? Because nobody likes anything that's one-sided. If you're being genuine with yourself, nobody wants anything that's one-sided. And there are going to be times where you can be a good friend, and you need to choose that option of being a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Times where you're going to need a good friend, and hopefully that person will choose the option of being a good friend. And again, when you go through those experiences and you reciprocate that same thing, it's going to continue to build you together.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, for whatever reason, like especially as people get older, people have defense mechanisms, and people don't even understand themselves, and they don't know how to understand other people's love languages, and they don't know how to understand other people. And so then it becomes conditional, and you don't think, you think it's a genuine friendship, but it is conditional because you're like, well, she offended me, or she said something that hurt my feelings, so I ain't rocking with her like that. Or, I saw she went out with so-and-so and she didn't invite me, so my feelings are hurt. And it's just kind of like, that's conditional. Like, that's not, that means you're looking for a friend. That's codependency. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not
absolutely
friendship. So you have to really like analyze yourself, and then analyze who you're calling your friend and why you're calling them your friend.
Girl, we're gonna have to stop right there. Like, that's the perfect place to stop. All right, girl. So tell me, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm last minute Linda. So I was like, tell me, you want to come on this show real quick, girl? But I think that my listeners are going to love you. I know they will, actually. You gave me great insight to long distance relationships and everything else we talked about. And I appreciate your insight outside of my podcast. So I'm glad that I was able to kind of share that with my amazing listeners.
Well, I just want to say thank you. This is my very first time being on anybody's anything. So that it's my best friend. Shout out to you for like popping my podcast featured cherry.
Yeah, I popped your cherry today, girl. Tell me, any last words, anything you want to promote? Shameless plugs are welcome here.
Yes, I have a few things to promote while I have this wonderful platform. Don't stop the podcast now. Listen to my plugs now. The first one is my brother. If you live in the Atlanta area, my blood brother started his very own delivery service, both for groceries and personal deliveries, and he delivers alcohol. So for all you Instacart ritualists who, you have this love-hate relationship with Instacart, you can ditch them and you can use PhiSho Delivers. That's PhiSho Delivers. You can follow him on all platforms at that same name, PhiSho, PhiSho Delivers. And get with it. It's cheaper than Instacart. He's more safe, more reliable. He has tested negative for coronavirus numerous times. So definitely shop with him.
To support Black businesses.
Also, I would like to promote Park Scholars Foundation. So if any of you, anywhere under the sound of my voice, if you have a young Black male that is graduating from high school and going to college, free money. The application is like 3 questions. Free money. We are giving away $1,000 scholarship. Please apply. You can follow Park Scholars Foundation on Instagram. ParkScholarshipFoundation.org is the website. But yes, definitely hit up Park Scholars Foundation on Instagram for scholarship opportunities. And then also we just do a lot of different things in the community to support young Black males. And then finally, I would like to promote the High End Theory podcast. Please support. It is a few fellas who just have different conversations about different things happening. But for those of you who like to hear different topics from a male's point of view, this is the podcast for you. They're like your homies next door. So it's called the High End Theory Podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe on all platforms. And keep rocking with my girl, Tay.
Hey, Southside.
What's up, baby? Tay. I'm just playing.
A little Tay. Thanks, girl. And all the information that tell me all the podcast and Park Scholars and show deliveries, I will put all their information in the show notes. So you guys can scroll down, click on that, follow them, and again, support Black businesses.
And Black podcasts.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, that's it for today, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, listening to me and my best friend. And I will see you guys next week.